Hello, everybody out there in YouTube. We are the middle-aged guys, or at least two of the middle-aged guys. Here today, we are going to be giving you our spoiler review and thoughts on Captain Marvel. All right? There's only two of us, so let's introduce ourselves. I'm the Reverend.
The theme here.
And that is the theme, of course. We are talking about Captain Marvel, the 20th movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe so far. This particular movie wasn't released out without some sort of controversy and everything else. More of that due to the main cast, Brie Larson, and comments of the star. But regardless of all of that controversy and the online bemoanings of many people sitting there saying to go out and watch Battle Angel Alita instead, Captain Marvel marched itself to a domestic opening weekend of $154 million. So, yeah, it's as far as it goes, it was definitely number one this particular weekend. I don't think that puts it in the top 10 for the movies in the MCU, but definitely a hit. Worldwide so far as of Monday, it's already made $456 million. So, that being said, we're going to go ahead and give you our thoughts. Yes, we were one of the a couple of many people who went out and saw it. We saw it actually Saturday night. It was myself, the theme, Theory, and Gray Mouse. We all got together. Unfortunately, we didn't exactly have the time to stay together and make our video and our review thoughts like right away. So we're trying to play catch up now. All right. Okay, I'm not going to go ahead and recap the movie. Let's just go ahead and, well, all right. If you're not familiar with Captain Marvel is the newest superhero for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Basically, a galactic, cosmic-based hero and everything else. Who, depending on the timeline or where you're actually familiar with her within the comic books, her origins are a little bit muddled, and yeah, her origins have been rewritten and retconned about a half a dozen different times. All right, but generally speaking, where she fits into the Marvel Cinematic Universe is that she's definitely one of the heavy hitters when it comes to the actual heroes that are there in the universe, and she was the person that Nick Fury was going out of his way to call up, hit the pager for help when the snap happened at the end of Infinity War. All right. That said, this movie was there to go ahead and serve as an origin, and it's a prequel movie. Because of that, I'd have to say that there are probably some hurdles that it definitely had to go ahead and get over.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll talk about those specifically when we get to that. All right. Theme. This particular movie, I know we've talked about it a lot over the weekend. What did you like about this particular movie? Let's start it out like we usually do with all of our reviews.
Now, they didn't try to shortchange us as far as to say who was involved as far as S.H.I.E.L.D. members that we already knew about. Like, of course, Nick Fury and Agent Coulson.
Yeah.
You know, I really like they included him, even though he didn't have a big role, but they explained that he was new to S.H.I.E.L.D. at the time. So I really like that. I really like the fact that, and if you're going to stage this in the 90s, you're going to have a lot of 90s shit involved. Stores, products, etc. And that was even part of some of the comedy that was actually laughable and not forced upon us. So I did like that. Man, yeah, I'm trying to think of what else at the top of my head that I liked without taking too much time. What about you? What did you like about the film itself?
Well, let me go ahead and I'll pull a few points out, and then if anything comes up at the tail end of me pulling out the points, feel free to jump in because it is just the two of us on this particular video right now. With this particular one, again, I've got to, if I haven't said this in many of the other reviews that we made about the Marvel Cinematic movies, I love the fact that they didn't hesitate to make Captain Marvel look like Captain Marvel in the comic books. They even gave her the whole the whole battle helmet with the mohawk,
Yeah.
binary look is as it's known.
Hmm.
So as far as it goes, a lot of people were bitching about how, like, the scrolls look kind of cheesy and everything like that. I don't know. And here's the thing: whenever you're dealing with aliens, and I will say this from my personal experience, all right, and this is from as a kid who grew up watching the Star Trek TV series and stuff like that. When you sit there and you give me alien races, and the only thing that's different about them is like maybe a feature of their nose or their ears, or like maybe they've got a scrotum for a chin, or like maybe they're missing patches of hair where normal human beings would have patches of hair and things like that. When they go ahead and they do the full makeup thing and all that, I appreciate that sort of effort. Okay, because back then when I was watching Star Trek, and they're like, all right, let's go ahead and make XYZ model an alien. Well, I don't know, we'll put like a little prosthesis thing on the bridge of her nose, and we'll paint her green or blue. All right, that's it. She's an alien. All right, and so obviously the efforts toward the way that they want to go ahead and make the way that they made the scrolls look and the way that they made the Kree look, that helped out a lot. Okay, that also went as far as making sure that Captain Marvel looked like she was actually wearing her suit out of the comic books. All right. I think actually, if I think about it, really her version of the suit at the very end of the movie is probably the closest to anything that they've had in the comic books for all of the suits overall, to be completely honest. Okay. That's one thing that I liked. The other thing that I liked was the fact that, like you, I like the fact that they were able to go ahead and fully embrace showing off things, as far as, okay, this is how the 90s was. Just the old man in me, the high school kid in me was tripping out at the fact that they were able to find a payphone.
Yeah.
Blockbuster Video, Radio Shack. Let's see here. Street Fighter Champion Edition. Champion
Edition. That could have been one of the one-up arcade machines, but I digress.
Yeah, it could have been, but that was there.
Centipede,
and also,
pinball machine. Well,
the Centipede pinball machine is a little bit earlier than
that's true, but at least it was,
Yeah, I'll let that slide, because the setting where everything was found was, they've been up there for
there was still arcades in the 90s, so
yeah, there was still arcades in the 90s. The whole thing with seeing a lot of the big old boxy sedans on the road.
The boxy sedan,
the boxy sedans.
You didn't, even with the Metro Rail scene, you didn't see a lot of new cars out there.
Yeah.
Because that would have been an instant disconnection.
Yeah, so they did a really good job with all of that. I gotta also say that as far as displaying her powers in scale, being able to sit there and to show that, oh, hey, look, this is somebody who is extremely powerful on their own and everything else. They succeeded in doing that.
Yeah.
How they got there at one point or another is another point of contention that we're probably going to talk about in the next thing. But yeah, amongst those things, I would say definitely I like that stuff. I love the parts that when we had Nick Fury on screen, actually, going through and taking care of things. Amongst other things. Was there anything else off the top of your head that you liked about the movie?
Top of my head, maybe something else will come later, but not off the top of my head. No.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing is that it's there were a few parts that were really funny that I didn't expect were going to be funny. Like I said, when we were in the theater, that point when they were sitting there waiting for things for an audio clip to load up for Windows Media Player.
That was hilarious.
Yeah, and they're waiting for it to load up on the freaking PC, and they're just a whole bunch of seconds go by, and they just audibly say, "What the hell is it doing?" And that got me. Yeah, that got me. That I didn't expect that. All right. Okay, so without with that all in mind and that already set up, let's talk about the things that we didn't like. By the way, if you haven't figured it out, this is, like I said right at the beginning, this is a spoiler review. So if you just want to go ahead and jump to the end of this particular one, or better yet, if you don't care for spoilers, if you weren't part of the people who contributed to that 154 million or the 480 million worldwide to actually see the movie, go to like Jeremy Johns or Chris Stuckman's channel. Go ahead and find a review on them. Okay, they got non-spoiler reviews. Okay, theme. Was there anything about the movie that you didn't like?
Oh my goodness. It was all right. The movie was going in with a disadvantage from the get-go. And the pace of the movie, I mean, it kind of felt like they didn't know what they were going for at the beginning. It's like, wow, we're all over the place with all these emotions or lack of. Okay. Some slapstick, some seriousness. Wait a minute, you're hitting me with all these points. Are you going to stick with one at any point of this movie? You know, it kind of felt that they wanted to hit us with all sorts of emotions to try to keep us interested. And I'm like, it was unnecessary.
Yeah.
And that's what it felt like to me.
The pacing was kind of odd. I it really would have benefited with like some of the portions when they stopped and they were like trying to like when she was trying to piece together things about her memory about being in certain places. Stuff like that. They probably could have taken a little bit of time, you know, every time. They probably could have taken a few more minutes to go ahead and explore out, you know, different facets, but they really didn't. They did.
It's like
they literally ended up jumping around. Yeah. You know?
It look that lasted way too long. And I'm like, okay, look, I understand that certain characters that are going to appear later, but I'm like, damn, they kind of dragged that out as far as going through her memories and stuff like that to try to look for something very, very specific. And I'm like, damn, could you speed this up just a bit? You know, and when they got there, it was like, okay, so now we can move forward. But it was very slow moving forward.
Yeah. I think the biggest, that's been one of the more consistent critiques of the movie is that the pacing is really, really off. Because when you open up the movie, it starts up and it jumps right into action.
Action and training.
Yeah, literally she wakes up and she gets into a fight. Okay, yeah. That's how the movie starts. Literally, she wakes up and she gets into a fight, and then shortly after that,
she has a bad dream, and then she goes to training.
Yeah, you know, and then right after that, they go on. She and her team, you know, of Special Ops Cree, right? They all go out and they go on a mission and everything else. So yeah, the action as far as a lot of it happening. There was really, really action heavy, especially at the very, very beginning of the movie. And then when she finally crash lands on Earth after getting separated from everybody else, it kind of slows to a halt. And then when we're following her along, trying to piece things together, the movie literally does jump from place to place. And from time period to time period, because she's trying to mentally put together these memories, you know, and we're just kind of along for the ride. Unfortunately, there, like I said, there are just certain details that, if they spent a little bit more time, or they kind of like focused themselves on going ahead and actually putting a little bit of weight to fewer and more of the details. Some of the parts that I know they wrote to get some sort of emotional response out of the audience probably would have been a lot more effective. Okay.
It's funny because for a lot of parts, you could not get emotionally involved in the movie. And it's not the movie's fault for that. It's where it was set and what they brought, because it's like, all right, this is just a filler type of thing. We can't really get emotionally involved as far as any element of danger. We know that she wasn't going to die or get critically injured or anything like that. We knew that she was going to survive. We just needed to know how she got there. Yeah. But it was a little slow and a little ridiculous and predictable as hell when they were trying to lead up to all of that. Yeah. Like, you knew kind of, all right, within 30 minutes, it was like, all right, so you think you're fooling us by saying that these guys are the bad guys. No, you saw Ronan the Accuser. It was like, all right, we've already figured this out. We've already figured this out. And plus, we already seen one of the guys that was working with Ronan the Accuser. We saw him at the beginning. And it was like, damn it, did you really have to do that? You thought we forgot? You thought we don't pay attention to details like that? Come on, we're Marvel fans. We've been watching these movies for, 11 years. So we recognized him from the first Guardians, and he was working for Ronan the Accuser. And it was like, damn it, you gave that shit away real freaking quick.
Yeah, I think, like you said at the very, like you said at the beginning, there are certain things, certain hurdles that it has to work over. And the problem, the big hurdle that a lot of the creators of the movie had to work with, it wasn't just one, it was two. Number one, we're introducing Captain Marvel to the world. So by its nature, it's an origin movie. All right. Mm-hmm. And origin movies tend to either be real slow or heavy-handed before you actually get to the meat and potatoes of the hero being the hero, right? There's that. And number two, it's a prequel. And unfortunately, there are 19 other movies, that happen later on. So we kind of know already that it's like you said, it's not like she's going to die. It's not like anything catastrophic is going to happen to any of the characters that we know from previous movies and stuff like that. So unfortunately, you end up defaulting into, okay, let's get to the points where we're really trying to see the meat and potatoes of our character. But because of the position where it's at, it's a lot of the things, especially if you've been a fan of the cinematic universe, not even a comic book fan, a fan of the cinematic universe, and you've been watching the movies up until now, a lot of the details that, are kind of like the MacGuffins that they're searching out for and trying to piece things together. A lot of those details you probably already know, and because of that, you're able to sit there and figure out the majority of the plot and where the movie is going.
It being an origin story and a prequel didn't go hand in hand together. It didn't, because let's think about Captain America. All right, it was an origin story, but it wasn't necessarily a prequel because that was still setting the stage.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy was basically an introduction, it wasn't like an origin story. It was just an introduction of them that got them to be well known. We got a little bit of backstory of Hank Pym right before we got to the rest of Ant-Man. They took care of that shit in minutes.
Yeah.
And I applaud them to do that. But we got a whole movie of that, and it was very dry. The presentation was really dry. It was just like, damn, I wasn't completely bored out of my mind that I wanted to get up and walk away or anything like that, but it just felt dry, know.
It really didn't lend itself out.
And then the fight scenes didn't help. The fight scenes did not help the movie.
No, yeah, because the problem with the fight scenes is that the way that they were filmed was that ultra close up, quick cuts, and not only that, but all of the fight scenes were also done in dark corridors, literally, except for the fight scene on the train, on the metro,
the metro rail,
all of the fight scenes were done in these dark corridors. literally, when all of that was happening in the beginning of the movie, I had to think to myself, I was like, wait, were they meaning this to be in 3D or anything? I'm not wearing any 3D glasses. Why is it so fucking dark? And it got to the point that after a few minutes, my head started to hurt. Because literally it was kind of like there was nothing for my eyes to focus onto. So it was just really kind of hard to follow. All right. All right, let's get to our third point then. Okay, knowing where we're at, and we've got like about I think 8 minutes left for this particular video. Knowing where Captain Marvel is at and everything else, where do you think this is going to fit in the big picture with Endgame and the rest of the Marvel universe?
Well, they're going to absolutely need her, and that's why she was called.
Yeah.
So she's going to be one of the keys, and that's why they had to introduce her. But I just felt that they didn't need a movie to introduce her, not a whole movie.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. But she's gonna fit. She's gonna be in a lot. At this point, she better be in a lot of the movie, and she better be one of the key elements.
Yeah.
As far as fixing all of this. Because if you focus on just on the Avengers that were already there and focus less on her, it's like, fuck, you just introduced her and she's like in the back burner. Fuck you.
Yeah.
You just can't, no, I wouldn't accept that. You just can't have her in the back burner after this.
Yeah.
Because she survived. Everybody that survived needs to have a line of reasoning as far as being a big part of fixing everything.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that they're not going to sit there and relegate her to as a background piece. That just doesn't make sense in where they're going for right now. What I think is really, really interesting, especially considering that Marvel has all the Fox properties and everything else now. With the way that they have, since they've introduced Carol Danvers, is that if they go into the X-Men and everything else, is Rogue going to end up sucking up all of her powers and then, becoming the Southern Belle wrecking ball ass kicker that we know that she was from the comics, instead of the Anna Paquin with the the irregular Southern drawl accent, who was just too shy and too timid to go ahead and touch nobody. All right. So that could be something that we're looking forward to. I don't think that she's going to be, I really, really hope that she's not just going to, be, as they say, Deus Ex Captain Marvel, run in, slap the fucking Infinity Gauntlet out of Thanos' hands, hand it over to everybody and say, see ya boys, and then ride off into the sunset or fly off into the sunset. I hope that's not going to be the case, but considering the sensibilities of the folks who are putting together the movies, that's probably not going to happen. All right.
And it shouldn't. Are we going to get a sequel for Captain Marvel? Captain Marvel?
Well, I know that supposedly I think she's contracted for at least 5 movies. Mm-hmm. So she's going to show up in
another thing I didn't like, Nick Fury. The way he got his eye down. No.
Yeah, no, I mean, that right there, there's actually a whole bunch of little details that were kind of retconned with this particular movie, that depending on what side of the fence you are as far as fandom goes, for the cinematic universe, some of it could really bug you. All right.
And then there was a lot of forced stuff.
Yeah.
Don't really want to really go into it, but yeah, there was a lot of girl power stuff in there, and there was some political stuff in there. And I'm like, this is unfucking necessary.
Yeah. Because the thing is that, well, let's get to the last part, and then I think we can go ahead and we can cap it off there. All right. As far as the movie goes, okay, yay, nay, or meh. All right. Where do you go ahead and rate the movie overall?
For me, it's kind of meh. I really think that this was a filler movie, but it was unnecessary. And I guess ladies and gentlemen, I went into the movie with 0 expectations, just like with all of them. I didn't go in it prejudging it or anything like that. I was just like, okay, I'm here. Let's go. And I was just like, damn it. I said, let's go. Why are we all over the place here? But for me, this could have been done just by having her being incorporated in some of the other maybe movies or whatever, or maybe her story should have been told earlier, not this late, not right before Endgame. That's the way I feel about it, and that's why I had to, in my opinion, give it a meh. What about you? What's your verdict?
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to have to give it a meh, too. Because the thing is that here's one thing that we all walked out of the theater saying, all right? That if we had the choice to see it earlier during the matinee, that we would have felt a lot better about the fact that we wouldn't have spent so much on the tickets, all right? And that's not because there's anything technically wrong with the movie. There's a few things that technically bugged me, like the way that they went ahead and they did the camera scenes on some of the things. But I think overall, this is what's the problem with Captain Marvel is that as entertaining as it is when it does get going, is that it's really predictable, all right? And when it comes to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, we already have 10 years and 20 movies of Marvel doing the exact same thing in a fashion that either is more satisfying from an emotional standpoint or more satisfying from just being blown away as a fan. All right. And unfortunately, if this was one of the first 5 origin movies, all right, or if this was part of phase 1, it would be perfectly fine.
Yeah, it would have been fine. But it still lacked a lot. It still lacked the comedy that all the others had in order to keep us.
Yeah, but even Thor and like Iron Man 2 and everything else, it kind of seemed like they didn't know what sort of tone they wanted to go with until later.
I wouldn't put this Captain Marvel, Dark World, or the Incredible Hulk. No, I wouldn't do that. Those are horrible.
We're not saying that, but because of the track record that Marvel has had, especially over the last 10 years, this is a mediocre movie for them.
It is.
It's a mediocre movie for what they've been doing. It does absolutely benefit from being right there in the middle, part 1 of Infinity War and part 2, of Endgame and everything else.
Yeah.
That's disregarding any sort of the controversies or anything else or any sort of political agenda or anything else. That's just how the movie is. All right. This is one of the ones that you could probably skip.
Yeah.
Okay. With that all being said, that is our spoiler review for Captain Marvel, folks. As always, what are your thoughts on the movie? Have you seen it? Leave us a comment below. Let us know what you think about the movie. Let us know what you think about our review. If we missed something, especially if that's the case. And if you really like what we're doing, we do suggest that you subscribe and turn on those notifications so you'll know whenever we go ahead and we drop out a new video. All right? With all of that said, our bullshit review about Captain Marvel ends right here. I'm the Reverend.
The theme here. All forms of entertainment has the right to exist, even if you don't like it. Credits.
Human male. Threat. Low. Really now.
Really?
Really.